ancient time, plagued by a zombie virus, some sisters search for love while fighting the undead to defend their country. That's why today Pride and Prejudice and zombies. If you enjoy the videos, support the channel by liking, subscribing, and enabling notifications. It's free and it really helps me keep growing. Now then, let's get started. In early 19th century Great Britain, we meet Colonel Darcy when he arrives at a well-guarded well, where he is guided to a strange chamber in which a man examines him to look for any bite wounds. They're in the midst of a zombie plague sweeping the continent. However, since they don't find anything, they let him continue to a room where people are playing cards because he has information that someone was bitten in that room, even though they claim there haven't been zombies here in years. He says someone newly infected won't show symptoms until their first kill, because the more brains they eat, the faster their evolution will be. He asks to stay and play a game, pretending he's done investigating, but releases flies that can detect dead flesh. So, when a fly lands on a man at the table, he shows his cannibal side, so the boy can use a glass to cut off his head. Interestingly, before asking if he could have infected anyone, the owner insists he had no contact with anyone. However, as they leave, a little girl remembers that the man had a niece. He looks for her too late, as she's already transformed and devouring someone else. In a scene change, they tell us how the virus started, since they believe it was the fault of the French. And after so much killing, the king decided to build a wall to protect the great city, leaving some bridges so that trade could continue to flourish. Unfortunately, when one of the bridges broke, the zombies had a clear path to enter, leading to the greatest battle seen in that era. This created fear in the king, who, after winning, ordered all the bridges to be destroyed except for one. Now we meet the Bennet sisters, who prepare their weapons because they are always ready for battle, as they were trained in Eastern martial arts, although their mother has a different future in mind for them, with a family of their own. So they come to talk about a man who could be the perfect husband for one of them. However, Mr. Bennet insists that his daughters are not wives, but warriors. And even though they would all like to go to a ball to meet a handsome guy, Lizzie doesn't want anything else in her life except training, even though their father agrees they can go if the whole family goes together. Finally, they put on elegant dresses while hiding knives under the fabric, because they never know when they'll need to use them. They attend the grand ball and see young Charles with his sisters, the very person their mother mentioned. In fact, when Darcy appears, they greet each other because they've been friends for many years. The young man is distracted by Jane's beauty, one of the sisters, and introduces himself to invite her to dance, leaving his not-so-sociable friend there. After a while, he comes back to him to suggest that he invite one of the sisters, like Lizzie, for example. Darcy says she's not the prettiest, unaware she's being overheard, making her leave and drawing attention by accidentally breaking a bottle. She goes outside to cry from disappointment, and the gaming house owner joins her, saying she hates the colonel, before she realizes that she's a zombie. But when the undead is about to tell her something, the guy shows up and blows her head off. She doesn't feel saved, since she was never in danger, until the bells ring because they're under a zombie invasion, forcing the sisters to prove why they're considered more vulnerable. Rado comes back with him to advise him that of the sisters, Darcy says she's the pretty one, that she's dead. The guy flying her away, does she feel saved? That Belle's invasion, forcing the sisters to prove they're considered vulnerable. But when she's not there, does she feel saved? Bells are ringing because of a zombie invasion. Inviting her to dinner, her mother uses the opportunity to prepare her and suggests she ride horseback instead of taking a carriage, hoping they'll let her stay overnight if it gets too late, even though the girl insists that it would be safer if she were accompanied. Unfortunately, her fears were true, because apparently, a zombie, her horse throws her off, leaving her there to fight the cannibal until she finishes him off. At that moment, she notices another woman with a baby, also undead. In a change of scene, our protagonist arrives at Charles's mansion looking for the girl, hearing that she spent the whole night sick, as if she had the flu, or something worse. because Darcy is also there to make sure he doesn't make the same mistake as in the gambling house. He releases his flies, hoping they'll bite Jane, but Lizzie catches them so they don't bother her, since her hand wound came from her weapon. The next day, her family visits, but she uses the chance to take her sister home, even though the boy insists that they'll have to keep her close to watch if she's infected. Sometime later, the father announces that their cousin Collins will be coming to visit, because when he dies, he'll have to leave the house to a male figure, and he's the best option. The scene focuses on their neighbor Catherine, the continent's most lethal woman. However, when asked about marriage, she says she'd like to discuss it with you and Jane. Since she's nearly engaged to Charles, her best option now is our protagonist. In a change of scene, they interrupt the reading to go for a family walk, forcing the cousin to go along. On the way, they encounter an accident that turns out to be a zombie trap, but they blow its head off, even though they knew her alive. When they finally arrive at the village, they see the guard they sent as reinforcements, led by Lieutenant Wickham, whom they invite to join the walk to talk with Lizzie, until their friends arrive, announcing they will soon hold a ball to celebrate the girl's full recovery. Curiously, our protagonist notices that Darcy looks at the lieutenant in a bad way, asking what is going on between them, until she hears that they grew up together in the same house. But after the colonel's father died, he banished Wickham for no reason. As the ball begins, Lizzie searches for her new friend, but is interrupted by Collis, who asks her to dance because she really wants to go. She gives her best effort to show her interest when Darcy appears asking for a dance, to which the man responds that he discovered he is actually Lady Catherine's son, which already raises the tensions, causing the others to leave after a while. Our protagonist meets Charles to watch a zombie attack, then grabs weapons to finish it off. Without thinking she would find a lair full of them, however, she starts talking to them, hearing that they have a friend who let them in, but they can't ask much more because Darcy arrives to eliminate them. He checks if his friend is infected, since he wouldn't hesitate to finish him off. Days later, Jay tells him that his suitor's family went to London so he can clean the house, taking the opportunity to visit the colonel's sister. And then at breakfast, the cousin shows up to talk to her alone, since he wants to propose marriage on the condition that she leaves Guerrero's side to become his wife. She rejects him because she's unwilling to do it. So she goes to vent in the yard when her mother shows up to convince her, along with Mr. Bennet, who decides to support her in her singlehood. Even though everyone thinks she will die alone if she keeps that attitude, she doesn't want to marry someone she doesn't love. Then she goes into the woods and sees 4 strange men who quickly disappear. Wickham arrives and apologizes for leaving the dance abruptly, but invites her to his place to make up for it. And when she stops at a church to listen to the priest, she tries to quiet 2 girls who won't stop talking, until she realizes everyone is dead. But it's the lieutenant who prevents the attack by saying they're harmless because they haven't fed on human brains, which slows down the transformation into uncontrollable cannibal zombies. In fact, he believes that might be the secret to ending the war with the undead. Talking to someone of high rank among their own to reach a truce. The next day, his sister Mary tells him that she got engaged to Collins, which makes him happy in a way, although she also wants him to accompany her to her house because she wants to introduce him to Lady Catherine. Since she's the toughest woman she knows, she needs her as a chaperone. In a scene change, they arrive at the mansion where there are some painted portraits, including one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse who announce the end of the world, like the people she saw in the cemetery with the lieutenant. Then they also see Darcy, and Wickham shows up as well, because Lizzie asked him to come with the intention of speaking with Lady Catherine. The subject of the war, with the zombies trying to convince her to meet with their leaders to reach a peace treaty. She just doesn't believe negotiation is possible, even if they aren't fully transformed. And when the colonel's father is mentioned, he gets tired of the conversation and calls the guards to throw out his old friend, who asks them to remember that day as a failed attempt at peace. Because when the undead get their Antichrist to lead them, they will rule the world. That night, the girl steps out for air and accidentally meets Wickham, who claims his old friend is worse than he appears. He persuaded Charles to leave Jane by claiming she wanted his fortune, not his love. He then suggests they run away together, but she refuses, finding it too much. The next day, Darcy confesses his feelings and proposes, but she rejects him, unable to love someone who ruined her sister's happiness, and lashes out at him in revenge. As she asks why he did it, she hears he saw no real interest from Jane in his friend. In addition, he heard her mother say that this marriage would make the whole family richer. Later, when the battle intensifies, the protagonist tells him she would never marry him, as she has thought he is the worst person in the world since they met. This seems to affect his feelings, since he apologizes for what he said before leaving her there crying until the others arrive. Later, she gets a letter from him apologizing for what he did to her sister. He also explains what happened with Wickham in the past. After his father named him heir, he was infected and had to kill his father to prevent him from turning into a cannibal. He gave the promised money to the lieutenant until it was gone, and then refused to give more, leading the lieutenant to start a relationship with his sister to claim her inheritance when she turned 18. Thankfully, he convinced her to leave him, and hurt by her rejection, he found comfort only in going to war, facing thousands of zombies to protect the city. Because if they lose this battle, it will be the end. In a change of scene, he arrives home and hears that Wickham took his younger sister, so he gets ready to look for her at the church. When Lady Catherine arrives, saying that she can't be engaged to Darcy because he is destined to marry her daughter. But like her, she won't promise nothing will happen between the women. She challenges her to a duel for the colonel, but wary of her reputation, attacks her bodyguard instead. She wins an impossible fight through sheer determination. There, Catherine admits she admires her as both a warrior and a woman. When her father arrives, he doesn't want anyone leaving the city to search for her sister until the princess gives permission, promising to care for her family. As they return, they visit the battle site where Charles is present, arriving just in time to save him, also telling him and his friend what happened to his sister. But when the church is mentioned, Darcy says that he saw it destroyed a few days ago. Later, he supposedly leaves to continue with the battle, but in reality, he goes to the church, which is in perfect condition, to take care of them. A trap, because he wants to resolve this conflict by himself, bringing human brains. But when he sees his friend is worried and distracted, our protagonist realizes the colonel didn't go to the battle, but went to look for Wickham. When the colonel finds the girl, the lieutenant arrives and refuses his offer, saying nothing will make him do it. Stop the undead rebellion. At that moment, a horde stirred up by Darcy's brains arrives, and he uses the chaos to get her out, before the final battle in which he faces his old friend until dawn. Sadly, just as he lands the fatal blow, he realizes he was infected all along. He was the zombie leader, but before he could finish him off, Lizzie arrived and saved him. Now the couple must hurry to reach the bridge because Charles gives the order to blow it up, right when they are about to cross it. Before the undead, she gets trapped in rubble and is the only one to wake up. Seeing the colonel, she finally confesses her love with a kiss as the scene shifts. The family is with Lady Catherine when Jane's suitor shows up asking to speak to her alone to propose marriage, which she accepts without hesitation. When they congratulate them, Darcy uses the moment to speak to Lizzie after overhearing her on the bridge. So he proposes again, receiving a yes, this time to celebrate a double wedding, bringing more than one family together in a single day. This was Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Remember to like, comment which movies you'd like next, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss new videos.